My name is Liz Munafo. I'm the Program Director of College Access for All, both middle and high school levels, and I am also the Program Coordinator on the Summer Youth Employment Program / Work, Learn, and Grow initiative. In terms of current responsibilities, when it comes down to the college access team, I work on forging partnerships across Staten Island, particularly those that have not yet been unveiled to us. Luckily, in the last year and a half, amidst a pandemic that affected the globe, we were able to go ahead and find a way to partner with a local high school, which meant expansion for us in all the best ways. So originally we were simply an intermediate school partner, and now we are able to make our way onto the high school level, which is super impactful. As for my other role, where I'm the program coordinator for the school-based Career Ready program, a lot of our contracts reside in the Bronx, which is very exciting for UAU as a whole, because we've gone from simply being a provider on Staten Island to now being a provider in yet another borough. The program itself involves a lot of engagement with school partners, the development of a stronger, more holistic approach amidst UAU team members who serve as liaisons, known as youth employment coordinators, and the youth enrolled at these schools. We are currently a partner at 9 high schools, and then my team members across both programs, they are boots in the ground. They are the ones that take what is set up and they deliver. And so if it wasn't for those team members, we wouldn't have a program. When we're considering what went on for our youth and for our faculty partners at these schools and how difficult it's been for them to get their feet back on the ground, we've been able to take content that was historically delivered live and in person and legitimately translate it to a digital virtual format. And I think that goes to say across the board, all of our programs and workforce have been successful in doing so. I think it's to be expected that technology has moved us so far along, but now that we're in this almost post-pandemic space, we're figuring out how to be hybrid, how to be successful and impactful and meaningful with our delivery. So it's very fast-paced, but there's something to be said about growing and rebranding. I've been very lucky to meet a lot of wonderful people who have the same vision as I do for the expansion of our programming, and those people are very lucky for us, very creative. And I have a wonderful team member who is my right hand in a lot of things on the college access team, who has content flowing out of her. She just knows exactly what to put together to have youth be engaged. You know, you want to build up a team that meshes together really well, and you know, if I'm super detail oriented, having someone who's more big picture, who's more creative in that respect is wonderful. But there's something really special about walking around and observing and seeing, you know, the staff that you collaborate with day in and day out really place that seed into a young person's mind about their own skill sets and their own interests. Definitely the concept that everyone should know what they are good at. And I think when I speak for a lot of us in this age bracket, that when we were younger and we attended primary school, intermediate school, high school, a lot of those basic roles and open jobs were spoken about as doctor, lawyer, you know, a very kind of blanketed general statement for a lot of youth. And now that we've pushed into this new kind of aged world with like all this technology and all these different opportunities, I think it's super, super meaningful that kids can figure out what their skills and interests are. So I think for me, I love education. I would be a lifelong student if I could. And I think also teaching youth that you don't have to necessarily go to school or go to college to be successful. I think that's absolutely incorrect in preaching that. I think it's a matter of speaking with them and delivering content that's organic and that helps them figure out, okay, well, this is what I align with in terms of an interest, and these are my smarts. Am I word smart? Am I number smart? And I think I just love to deliver. I love to work with kids. I really love being in the classroom. When I first started in this job, I was doing some facilitation as well because we were growing the program, figuring out how to elevate our team, expand our deliverables, set new benchmarks and milestones. So, and I often remark this now, and I say it as a joke, I feel like a lot of what I do now is emails and meetings. But there's really something so special about being in a classroom, and I like being in a school. I like walking around the hallways and feeling that energy and, you know, the chatter of youth kind of going into their little physical breakout sessions and doing an activity that a facilitator has in store for them, and then having them do share backs, and just standing there and listening to what kids have put together after what they've learned in the last 40 minutes. I think it's incredible. One anecdote that I will remark is we were still live and we were in IS7, which is one of our partners for college access, intermediate school partners, and we were doing a wrap-up session with the youth. So we just had done our last workshop with them. They did a board game activity where we created a board game based on post-secondary pathways. They were in groups, they were laughing and yelling, and it was just a lot of fun to watch. And when we were going back and we had paused the game, we said, all right, you know, we'd love to hear your thoughts on the program. You know, you've been with us for the last few months. What did you learn from this, if anything? And one young lady who was legitimately no older than 13 at the time said, I learned about myself that although I am not numbers smart, meaning mathematically inclined, I am still valuable and I'm still important because my skill set still matters. I don't recall what smart she referred to, that was something that she associated herself with, but to hear a really young person state something like that, to say I still have value and merit even though I'm not numbers smart, as an example, is really, really special. So that's feeding right into our mission statement, which is like building up self-awareness for our youth. I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and it's so interesting because working with people is a very unique skill set. And I'm not just saying the delivery of programming. I'm talking about coming into an office space, interacting with the people who are your colleagues, finding ways to mesh together and then to build as a division and as individuals and as teams. It's about finding a balance and learning that every single human being is different, and how can you make it work so that everyone can utilize their own unique skill set with comfort, knowing that they're not being judged, that they're definitely capable of delivering what's required of them based on their own unique respective personality. Leadership is something that you never stop learning. One of my favorite quotes, you know, if you think that you're the smartest person in the room, you gotta think again, right? Like, you have to remember that the smartest person knows that they're the biggest fool. I always say, I don't know anything. You know, maybe I'll learn something new every day, but I don't know anything. And I think that's part of leadership, is knowing that you need to keep growing. I think we work in a really special environment. I think the dynamic here is really quite different. And as a workforce development team, our role and our goal is to make sure that we are helping youth and those in our community figure out how the workforce can benefit them and how they can benefit the workforce. And through that comes growth and delivery of workshops that speak to personal skill set. You know, we would be amiss if we didn't say it's super important to remember that us as workforce employees, we still need to figure out what workforce means to us. You know, I think that's really special about our division as a whole, because we are collectively always open and willing to learn something new. And we know that we can't serve our youth or our population without being on the pulse with what, I guess, the newest nuances are of that workforce sphere. I mean, the last year we went from, or the last 2 years rather, but we went from being live to then being fully remote and figuring out how can we make sure that youth still get something from this, and how can we help the youth to being kind of back in the office, kind of hybrid, kind of still piecing together this new dynamic that we have here. It's about growth on Staten Island, it's about growth in New York City, it's about growth on a micro and macro scale. I don't know, I love the work that we do. It's nice to see kids flourish. It's really good. It's special.